Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like this video if you enjoy it. But today I thought I would start a new series on my channel, which is going to be called Monthly Wrap-Ups What I Read This Month. And shout out to my sister who encouraged me to film this kind of video. I feel like really during quarantine I've been able to sort of revitalize a relationship to reading that I haven't been able to have for a long time. Although I'm an English major, meaning I read constantly throughout the semester. I'm reading novels, poetry, essays, critical pieces, etc. And I really do enjoy everything I read, and I've learned so much from the works I've read in my classes and been really inspired to explore new genres and read more works by writers of color especially. I think for the last few years I've really lost that joyous relationship to reading that I had as a child. During quarantine, I've been very intentional about making time for reading, and I've actually managed to get through quite a few books, so I thought I would share them with you today. Okay, so the first book I read this month is this book. It is a poetry book by Tiziana Lamelia, and it's called The Eyelash and the Monochrome. And I first discovered this book when I was going to office hours with one of my professors. She was just sitting at her desk all cute, drinking like a little cardboard cup of coffee and flipping through this. And when I asked her about it, she said she was teaching it in her Gertrude Stein class and that one of her friends had actually written it. And what drew me to the book initially was actually the cover, because when you feel it, it's sort of like this velvety material. It feels like thick paper, but also almost like fabric. I'm a little embarrassed to admit it, but this was actually one of the first books I ordered not from Amazon, and it was a completely different experience receiving it. It came in like a little hand package with like a card that said package with care for Nicole Kim, and that really inspired me to directly support these presses. To be honest, I don't fully understand it yet either, but I think it really does a good job of bringing you into that beautiful space that one gets into when reading poetry, where you're just really in tune with the magic of language. And I would say it's really focused on the material, and there's this really beautiful phrase on the back of the cover that says, it asks, what happens when material becomes thought and thought becomes object? So throughout the writing, Lamelia sort of really examines her space, I think, and examines texture and objects and the visceral feelings writing can cause you to feel in your body. And I think there's definitely a very specific politics to this kind of writing. I think she's really thinking about the domestic, as it says on the back, also art, it says dreams. Yeah, I think I'll just read a short little passage. Yeah, here we go. This is on page 39. Enter bedroom. Link. A lot of writing happens today, happens from bed. We wake up with the registration of the pillowcase on our face. Everything wrinkles eventually. With the invention of the iron, we could imagine a continuous smoothness. Somehow, the genre began before I made the choice. Sand, dirt, dust, skin, shaken through its mesh body. The view from the mattress. Long sigh, closed eye. The long glint blurs the purple dark. Yeah, I just think the phrasing is so beautiful and memorable. Phrases like the purple dark, mesh body, the registration of the pillowcase on our face. I feel like it sort of reminds me of photography, where we are encouraged to pause and recalibrate kind of how we ingest our surroundings. And the next book I read, or I'm actually still in the process of reading, is this book. It came out in my previous vlog, and it is The Racial Imaginary: Writers on Race in the Life of the Mind, edited by Claudia Rankine, Beth Lofrida, and Max King Cap. And this book, I was also introduced to it from one of my poetry classes. It was called Experimental Poets of Color, and it's a course I took in spring of 2019. I hadn't actually gotten through any of it besides the introduction until recently. And to be fair, it's a really beautiful introduction that asks a lot of really provocative questions. I think I'll read a few parts that I starred and highlighted. So this is on page 15. It says, "Here are a few of the tropes you would likely encounter if you started looking at writers writing about race these days. 1. I met an other and it was hard. This is lightly said, but that is the essence of the trope. The anxious, entangling encounters with others that happen before anyone even makes it to the page and that appear there primarily as an occasion for the writer to encounter her own feelings. Another, I needed to travel to see race. I went to Africa or to Asia or to the American South or to Central America, wherever I would consider not home, to look at race, as if it now mainly can be found in a sort of wildlife preserve, separate from the ordinary, everyday experience. Another, race is racism. And lastly, the enduring American thing of seeing race as solely a black and white affair, of considering anti-black racism to be the scene where the real race stuff goes down, which is accompanied by the trope of the discount, the one that fails to extend to other people of color an authentic fullness of experience, a myopia that renders them in terms of the, quote, not really." So I think this is a really important book during these times. So the book was compiled because the poet Claudia Rankine, who I really love, created an open letter. It says, "A web form to writers to relate the personal effects and ideological affects of racial difference and to explore art's struggle to adequately imagine." And then a lot of writers responded to her open letter, and that eventually became this book. And the book is divided into, I think, 5 sections: institutions, lives, readings, critiques, and poetics. And until recently, I hadn't really made it to much of the sections besides institutions, and I was really surprised to see several writers I know in poetics, including Jerry Go Brown, Banu Kapil, and Don Lundy Martin. And one of the writers phrased this task of responding to the letter as writing about race. And I think for me personally, like, writing and literature is where so much of the nuanced work happens in thinking about race, because I think in these movements there's not a lot of nuance at times. I don't think nuances should always be the point. Like, there are so many blatantly horrible and unjust things happening that just deserve to be called out blatantly. But I think the important work that poetics and literature does is helping us to question the systems we live in, the beliefs that we've ingested, and how maybe our actions are not so black and white, no pun intended. The next book I want to talk about is this book I read in total, and it is My Baby First Birthday by Jenny Zhang. Many of you might know Jenny Zhang because her short story collection, Sour Heart, did really, really well in the past year. And this book came out in 2020, and it is a poetry collection. And this type of poetry was really different from the poetry I usually read. It's very direct. It's not really playing with a lot of like symbolism and metaphor and like complicatedness. It's very, very direct. It gets to the point. I'll read a few lines from the very first poem. It says, "I keep thinking there is an August. If there is an August, there is an August. I would probably write every day. But some days I get caught up rubbing my pussy, checking for pimples. Green ones pop on their own when I need to cum, or when I'm flicking cum out. Beautiful white globs that dry mid-air. I would be lazier than this, but then it would be celestial. A star in midsummer, summer solstice long gone. The weird feeling of being alone, of consummating love. Why do my friends look forward to the best day of their lives? Do they secretly wish they were already dead? Do I? Does he? So like you notice, probably Jenny Zing has a very like biting, direct voice. There's a certain way where the I or the narrator is very unsteady in my opinion and becomes kind of a part of the environment. When I'm reading this book, I sort of get in that strange headspace you are in when you're kind of sad, you kind of just want to be alone, read some depressing poetry, watch like a cheap romantic drama and drink some wine or something. I feel like there's something very relatable and real and raw in the emotion she communicates, so I would definitely recommend this book as well. So that is it for my monthly wrap-up for the month of, I guess it's sort of like mid-June to mid-May to mid-June, excuse me. But I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like, please comment down below what you've been reading. If there's any books you're looking forward to reading. I hope you all are staying as well as possible, taking care of yourselves, and having whatever day you need to. And don't forget to like this video and leave a comment down below if you enjoyed watching it, and subscribe for more videos like these. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!